Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy. I hope you're having an incredible day today. And today I have a really special video, for me at least. Hopefully it will be special for you as well. I don't really know how I'm going to title this video yet, if it's going to be my Stephen King TBR or starting my Stephen King journey, I don't know. This video, it's all about the king of horror, Stephen King. So obviously I am a big fan of the adaptations of his stories. Have I watched even half of them? Probably not, considering that he's like, I think he's the most adept like author, right? Like in the world, if I'm not mistaken. But I do know some of the most known stories, like Carrie, It, Cujo, The Shining, and just to name a few. Now, in terms of his books, I haven't really explored that much, and that's what this video is all about. Okay, so first things first, let me explain what I know about Stephen King and what my experience has been so far. So I grew up watching and loving horror movies. I've always loved eerie, macabre, spooky stuff. I've always loved that. So obviously I came across some of Stephen King's stories that were turned into movies, that were adapted. However, at the time, they were just movies. They were just stories that I liked. They were just movies that I watched that were popular amongst the genre, this genre that I loved so much. I had no idea who the writer was, nor did I really care to find out, really. That was just something that I didn't really care about at the time. For example, Carrie, the early 2000s version, not the first one, the OG one, that's one of my favorite childhood movies, honestly. I lost count of how many times I watched that movie, no joke. But I had no idea that the story was an adaptation of this really famous, known writer, So yeah, it was only a few years later, especially with like the internet and with me being more active on the internet and more into like fandoms and stuff like that I started to be more conscious about who was behind these stories that I loved so much, in movies, in TV shows and series and stuff like that. And that's when I realized that this Stephen King guy was behind a lot of them. It was only in 2020 that I read my first ever Stephen King book, believe it or not. I have him right here. It was Joyland. I know, not a very popular first pick, but I'm going to explain my thought process behind it. The thing is, I didn't want to start with a book like It or The Shining or something like that was really known. I don't know, it felt like a lot of pressure. I just wanted to start with like a random one that wasn't that known, and that's why I picked Joyland, and I really enjoy it actually. So just to explain the timeline a little bit, 2020, that year that we all wish to forget, that was when I started reading Joyland. And I say started because, things happened. So I actually started reading this book with the intent of making a video about it. And it would be something like my first, reading my first Stephen King book, yada yada. It never happened. Yeah, so I actually didn't finish the book in 2020, not because of the story or anything like that. It was just because, that was a hectic year for everybody, and everything was just going on, college, work, pandemic, so I just didn't really finish. I only picked it up again in 2021, and that's when I actually finished the story, and I really enjoyed it. So the second book that I read from Stephen King is actually a short story collection that I'm trying to pick it up right now, and it's this one here called the Bazaar of Bad Dreams, if I'm not mistaken, in English. I actually talked about this in my Halloween vlog reading from last year. So, and I enjoy it as well. I love short stories. I'm a fan of short stories. And when I found out that Stephen King actually has a lot of short stories, or like, published, or collections of short stories published, I was really excited to dive in, and I really liked. Ouch! Ow! And I really liked this book, and some of these stories here are one of my favorites so far. So yeah, that was the second one. Now, this year, 2023, one of the first books I've read was actually Misery. And this one, it's definitely my favorite Stephen King book that I've read so far. I gave, I think, 5 stars on Storygraph, which is not something I do very often, to be honest. I just loved it. It's an incredible story. I wanted to make a video about it as well, but I didn't. I'm sensing a theme here. Yeah. Anyways, these are the 3 stories I've read so far. So obviously, considering that he has like 160 something, I think, books published, I barely scratched the surface. And I want to. Because I decided after all of these 3 stories that I read that I want to read all of his works. Yep, at least his fiction works. Because I know he has some nonfiction as well, but at least he's like novels and short stories. I want to read them all. And the man doesn't stop publishing, the man doesn't stop writing, so it's going to take a while. But if I don't start now, I won't start ever, So this is what this video is about. Now, I'm going through the little list I have here of the books that I'm planning on reading. There are 8 books here, and I didn't choose them for any particular reason besides the fact that I have them in like physical copies. All of them are in Portuguese, except for one that it's in English. So if the titles look different, that's why. So yeah, now I'm just going to go through them and just say what I know about it and how excited I am about them. So let's go. Oh, also, I don't have a particular order for these either, except for the first one and the last one, or at least the one that I think will be the last one. So yeah, the first book on my list is The Dead Zone. I have it right here. Like I said, it's in Portuguese, that's why it's different, but this will be the first one on the list. I don't really know much about this book. I only put him as the first one because it's the oldest one that I have in this list, considering like the order of publishing, yeah, when it was published. I think it was like, this is like the 7th or 8th book that Stephen King published. So it's the oldest one, and I don't know, for that reason I was like, hey, should be the first one. But I don't really know anything about the story, but I'm excited. It's about 400, no, it's more than 400 pages. But yeah, I think it's going to be fun. Okay, the next one on my list is actually a collection of short stories. Remember I said I love them, so I had to include them in this list, and that is Different Seasons. It's called like 4 Seasons in Portuguese, but whatever. But yeah, it's Different Seasons. It's a collection of short stories, and again, don't know anything about it. Don't know the stories that are in here, if they're known or not. Just know that I'm really excited to read them. So yeah, that is the second one on my list. Again, this is in no order. Now, the third one, I'm really excited because this is like a very known Stephen King book, and that is November of '63. I think that's how you say it, right? Because in English, it's only the like date, the numbers, but I think that's how you refer to it. It's November '63. This edition is not that big, but I do know that this book, it's one of the biggest. No, no, not one of the biggest, but like it's within the bigger books that King has. Um, yeah, I'm looking here. It's like past 670 pages, so pretty big, pretty big. I do know a little bit of what this is about, kind of. I guess who doesn't, but I don't really know like spoilers or anything about how the story ends or how it goes. I just have a rough idea of being about the JFK assassination, and I guess the character here like goes back in time to try to avoid it. I think that's it, if I'm not mistaken. That's all I know. But yeah. Okay, so the next one is a challenging one, but scary, and it is it. Yes, this very little book, right? There's only like 1,000 pages in it. This is the next one on the list. Now, this I know about the story, of course. I've seen the movies, the OG one and the newer ones. So yeah, I know about Pennywise. I know about the kids and the town and like how the story unfolds. I love the fact that we we follow these characters up until they're older and like they have to come back to stop Pennywise and all of that. I'm sorry if I'm giving it spoilers. Is that spoilers? I feel like everybody kind of knows the story. I'm so sorry. But yeah, it's the next one on the list. It's a bit heavy. I don't think I've ever read. I'm sure actually I've never read a book this big before, so it will be a challenge. Who knows? Maybe I'll do like the 100 pages, reading 100 pages every day of the week challenge when I get to him. This is the one that I think is going to be the last one. I said that I only had picked up like the first one on the list and the last one like in order, or the order only for the first and the last, and it was definitely the last because it is the biggest. But I don't know, I'm kind of a mood reader, so like if one day I'm like, you know what, I want to read this one now, maybe I'll pick him up. So yeah. Now the next one, it's actually they go together, and that is The Shining and Doctor Sleep. Now, The Shining, I've seen the movie. I do know the story, about the family, the writer that goes to this hotel to take care of it with his wife and his son, and the son that starts to see weird stuff, and yeah, and the writer that kind of like loses his mind a little bit. Stephen King has a thing for that, doesn't he? Which I love it. It's kind of meta. But yeah, so I do know the story for The Shining. Don't know anything about Doctor Sleep though. I haven't seen the movie that came out, 2 years ago? I don't know. It's like the recent movie with Evan McGregor. I do love him, but I haven't seen the movie yet. So yeah, I don't really know anything much about Doctor Sleep, except that we follow the son, right? The boy from The Shining. But that's about it. I don't really know anything else. So it'll be cool to like go in kind of like blind and not really know much about the story. So yeah, those two were the next one. So now we only have one left, and this is the one that I said that it's the only one in English that I got, and that is Billy Summers. Yeah, this is, I'm pretty sure, the newest one in terms of like publishing date in this list. It's a bigger boy too, not as big as the other ones. I actually don't know how many pages. Oh, I can do this with one hand. Let me see. Like 500 something. Yeah, that's fine. It's doable. I mean, they're all gonna have to be doable because I'm reading them all. But yeah, so Billy Summers is the last one. Again, I think I have read the summary, but I don't really remember what it is about. Yeah, so basically I don't know anything. Except for the really known stories like It and like The Shining, the ones that I've seen the movie basically. But yeah, this is the last one in on the list. It's a novel, and I'm excited because it's one of his like newer ones. So yeah, I feel like I have a pretty good selection of books here. There are 8 books for me to read. I do want to. My plan is to like make videos individually, maybe like every 2 or 3 books, so I can talk about this more in depth, and to kind of like track, right, my reading to see if I'll be able to read them all. I do want to finish them all up until the end of the year, but I make no promises here, okay? But yeah, guys, that was this video. I hope you follow me in on this journey, and if you want to do that, please subscribe to the channel, give it a like to this video, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you in the next one. I'm really excited. I'm really excited because I'm already a fan, but I'm becoming a bigger fan as the day goes by. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. I think I already said that. I'm just excited. Whatever. That's it. Bye bye.